Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, including Steven Universe and Gravity Falls. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hello.
And Britney Falcon.
Hello.
This is the first of our Gravity Falls episode discussions. We will be covering every new episode of Gravity Falls from here on out until probably the show ends its run. We're a new podcast. We just started a few weeks ago. You can check us out at overlyanimated.com. And Gravity Falls was a major reason I wanted to start a general animation podcast, along with Steven Universe. I think they're two of the best shows on television. They both came back today. It's very exciting. And we're going to be... we're going to be covering every new episode. You can check out our other stuff there on overlyanimated.com. You can support our Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Spoilers for this episode of Gravity Falls.
Duh.
Yeah, and the rest of the show as well throughout. I didn't even mention the episode name yet. But today I'll be discussing A Tale of Two Stands. Obviously, the 30-minute long, no commercials, kind of masterpiece or whatever. I don't know. We'll discuss if it's a masterpiece. It's certainly a cinematic type thing that aired on Disney XD today. So let's get right into it. A Tale of Two Stands. Delaney, what did you think of this episode?
Such a great episode. It's so exciting. It's odd because typically, especially like in this, how we've talked about episodes that are similar to this, like the whole flashback kind of episode, we're kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about this, of course, depending on the show, but I thought this was wonderfully done. Like, I kept forgetting it was a flashback episode, like, it was just so good, and it's like, there's an actual narrative, and it's awesome. And with just the references, and like, the mysteries that were revealed, like, just, it hit things I didn't even know it wanted to hit, like, it just... Like, just the little touches here and there, like, oh, that's from, like, whatever episode, like, forever ago. It was just great. Stellar. And also, we have Nerdy Science Tenzin, which is fantastic.
Nerdy Science Tenzin. J.K. Simmons voicing Ford, I think is what we'll be calling him now. It seems like Stanford, the new twin. Britt, what did you think of this episode?
I deeply enjoyed it. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was really actiony. Like Delaney said, it had a great narrative. It was all around really good.
Cool, and we'll get into some specifics in a few minutes. I agree. This was very good. Especially, I've watched it twice tonight. First time I watched it, it was incredible. It was very cinematic, and it was very funny. I think those were maybe the two biggest pros to this, which is typical of Gravity Falls. There was not really any specific flaws to it. But the second time watching, the tropiness of it stood out to me, like the stereotypical nature of some of these plots. Like, it's not necessarily super original, the backstory, but it is. It's very good.
Like the whole conflict.
Yeah, the conflict, the general relationship between the twins, stuff like that. But it was very well done. Obviously, the show doesn't have bad episodes anymore. It never really had bad episodes, but it doesn't even have average episodes anymore. It's too good for that.
It was tropey while remaining entertaining. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it was definitely. I agree with that. Like the good stuff of it shined through, and even though, like, I think if I'm worried that as we analyze this show too much, unlike Steven Universe, I will start to pick apart the non-social progression of the show, right? Because this episode is extremely male-dominated and stuff like that. And it's just, I'm also watching a new episode of Steven Universe today. It's also striking how progressive that show is and how not progressive this show is. Not that it's like super bad and problematic. It's just it's just very heteronormative and very male and stuff like that. So that's holding me back, I think, and that plus the tropiness is holding me back from saying this is too incredible. But it was certainly very, very good, very well made, and I don't know, I think the humor really shines through for a lot of this. And the humor really relied on the establishment of the characters and dynamics. A lot of it was the characters we know reacting to this backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like Mabel this episode.
Hug it up.
The hug it up thing is great. Dipper reacting to the journals was incredible.
The screaming.
Yeah.
He like had a fangasm. Like he was a hardcore fangirl in it. It was great.
And I don't know, probably my favorite line maybe in anything ever, which is Sue saying, "I hope all this aligns exactly with my fanfic stan. If not, I'll be very disappointed." Which was unfortunate. It was unfortunately in the trailer. So
Yes.
we did already discuss this line on our preview podcast, but that line is incredible. That is.
Line is
I can't
brilliant.
remember fanfic being in a show before the word fanfic. So.
No.
And that Seuss writes fiction just completes his character.
Oh yeah, now his character is perfect. Now that we know that detail.
Yes. I mean, it was perfect before, but now it's just like...
No. It was perfect when he called Wendy and he was like, I have to call Wendy. Like, I have to, like, fill her in. Like, she's my BFF. She has
the
to
next
know.
14 hours.
Yeah, I mean, this episode did lack Wendy, but then we got the stinger, which was incredible.
The entire time I was like, where's Wendy? And then, yes, got it at the end.
I guess she's just been off for like a few days.
Yeah, she takes
sense.
vacation days.
Yeah,
Gotta go
okay.
chill.
Wait, isn't that what happened? Like, he told her to go home?
Yeah, I think so, in the last episode.
I mean, that was like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while. But...
It has been a while.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I apologize if we get any of the mythology wrong on the show. The show's very established mythology, and yet it airs very infrequently. I kind of ranted about this on our preview podcast for this episode, but I hate the way Disney schedules this show. I believe they should air it Game of Thrones style, 10 episodes, 10 consecutive weeks once a year. Rather, we're getting about one episode a month. Next month, 2 episodes, actually. So we'll be back on, I think, August 3rd. And we're very excited about that. But I don't know. I've been watching week to week since episode 1, and yet I'm pretty kind of forgetting a lot of the show's mythology. I mean, we haven't had Bill Cipher in quite some time.
Well,
although
there's
we have
an argument for this episode.
Well, we have a reference to him today, I would assume. We'll get into that.
Several references.
So let's get into...
Unless there's some other dude with one eye running around.
Yeah. It said beast. I don't know if I described Bill Cipher as a beast, but yeah.
He's not cool.
He's not cool.
Maybe he has maybe that's his his non-physical form, and his physical form is like a werewolf or something.
No throwing Teen Wolf into this. Although, yeah, I've foregone Teen Wolf tonight to watch Gravity Falls. Definitely a higher priority. Okay, let's get into the specifics here.
So you better be proud of me.
Good job, Britt.
Anyways,
let's get into specifics. So we start off pre-credits with the 2 twins, kind of in the early days of New Jersey, with Stanford quickly established. We get the reveal that Stanford, J.K. Simmons is that Stan's name is not Stanford, it's Stanley, which we kind of know from the trailer. But that was kind of, I guess that'd be a reveal if Disney didn't ruin that. But we get the smart one, Stanford, and the free spirit, Stanley. They break into this thing. They sign their name.
Very Bill Cipher-like hole.
yes.
I've got the other thing. What is it called? Punching, says Stan, which is a great line. And we kind of establish this, and then we get the full intro, which was very notable to me. We haven't gotten the full intro to the show in a while. I think the show is the best credits on television.
I like their theme song.
Yes.
It's really cute.
Yeah, everything about the episode is amazing.
Yes.
Okay. About the intro is amazing. I mean, so they're back in real time. We're going through it kind of piece by piece. This is the problem you always run into in episode discussion podcast. You kind of have to just take everything that happened and say it and then talk about it. Mm-hmm. But as it's a little annoying to me when I listen to these, but I've not yet discovered a better way to do it. So we're still doing this. Angry in real time. So let's get into this. So Stan says he was saving... so they're angry at each other, Stan and Ford. Stan and Ford, okay. I think that's what we should be calling them, Stan and Ford.
That's enough.
Saving. Stan says he was too busy saving you from some sort of sci-fi sideburn dimension to Ford. And this is kind of the only...
Another great line.
That's a great line. That's the only reference we get to the dimension that Ford is coming from. So I kind of want to talk about that for a little, because you'd feel like that would be one of the biggest things to discuss with this guy who just was in another dimension for like 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Like, he looked like he fell out of, like, the Matrix. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we're talking, like, he was in,
He
like...
had a gun on his back.
Yeah,
we
like,
didn't
he's
see
in,
it, but
like,
that
I'm
was very
fighting
much
stuff.
an assault. It was very much an assault rifle, like...
How about the mechanics of this? Why does opening this portal instantly draw Ford back in? from the dimension. Does that mean he was camping by the portal entrance the entire time, or does the portal like hone in on him?
Yeah, is it
Well,
like tied?
if you want to get really specific, his energy signals. I have no idea, Dylan. Do I look like I live in this world?
Well, it's not scientific or anything. It's fake. So
No.
it's.
I mean, you could like argue that like, okay, the way your atoms. This is gonna. So you're actual like person who really knows a lot about physics listening to this. You're getting like the dumb version. I apologize, but like basically, you have a way that your strings vibrate, and if you flip it, you can, in theory, become dark matter and fly back.
Okay, I don't think we need an actual scientific definition.
No.
Because I don't think that's really relevant. Well, we have you, so that's what we're getting at. But, so, like, I don't know, which do you think? It's one of the two, right? Like, either the portal drew him back in, or he was waiting by the portal, like, for years.
But we're also assuming that there is another portal. It could have just, like, this is, like, I feel like,
well, it doesn't mean that, yeah, not that there's necessarily another portal. On the other side, just that he knows where he came out of the portal when he got in there, so he might be
like,
there.
yeah, but my thing is, like, so he created this portal that, like, so this is like wormhole in reality, like, he punched a hole in his dimension. So, two things, I think, and we've talked about, and this is a thing, I think, with Gravity Falls itself, is that it's so close, because it's bleeding through, so this is a weak point in the dimension. So he probably just stayed in that weak point. So it's probably a large area. So like, I doubt it's like,
he's just waiting by where it opened. Yeah.
Or because like there isn't. This sounds dumb, but the portal only exists when it's on.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
Because like, as opposed to like, oh, he knows where the portal is. Like it don't, or like he can't just like this is where the portal is. I'll just go back through here. Or
I understand that there's no portal on the other side. I'm just saying he would know where it opened up when he came in.
Maybe.
I don't think anything like this makes sense. Like, even if it would still be in this, would it be in the same spot in that world? Does that world move?
Yeah,
like, I really don't understand.
Yeah, because
like,
it's a dimension.
Yeah, it's like a dimension. So, like, does that dimensional portal just follow him around? Like,
the probability
but, like,
is...
say he camped in
here, does
that make sense?
Unless he specifically is waiting for the portal, the probabilities of him being near the portal when it opens seem low.
Well, it could be like the Avengers. I'm not Avengers. Thor 2.
Yeah, so these is portal stuff that the show doesn't necessarily think about. I'm interested if we're going to actually...
They haven't revealed it yet, purposefully.
If they what?
They just haven't revealed it yet, purposefully. Like, we did the dimension thing.
I mean, I wonder, like, how much we're going to talk about this other dimension, right? Because it doesn't seem important to what they're focusing on right now.
I mean, I feel like it has to come up in passing, just because, like, if we're going to talk about their relationship, and if we're going to talk about Ford, like, this has to come up, and, like, maybe how Ford has changed, and that kind of thing.
I can't really imagine it not coming up, because, like, the whole reason Gravity Falls being the way it is because it's a weak part
right, so, yeah,
of the dimension. All this stuff, like, leaks through, but, like, you're not going to just, like, explain that away and not worry about where it's leaking through, like, or what's leaking through, you know what I mean?
Right, so we'll jump ahead a little bit, because at some point, Ford is talking about how he's built this portal to try to find the source of weirdness in Gravity Falls, right? So he thinks that it's leaking through the dimension. So this might be our end game or something, where we're going to like another dimension. Like, that's where we're building the portal to. Maybe the finale like takes place in them going to Bill Cipher's homeworld. So here's a question. So again, we're jumping, but when they build the portal, McGucket says, "Fear the beast with one eye," and we presume that to mean that's Bill Cipher. So there's two options here, I think, and this is after he sticks his head in the portal. One option is that McGucket literally saw Bill Cipher on the other side when he went in, which would mean Bill Cipher's from this other dimension. The other option would be that McGucket gains some sort of insight by sticking his head through the portal, and that like knocks him, like, his brain loose, and like he just like sees the future or something like that, which would mean that Bill Cipher isn't necessarily connected to that specific dimension.
Well, it could be like in Doctor Who, and like you look into the whatever schism, and you like lose your mind.
Yeah, so that'd be option
dude.
two.
Like, just kind of like looking through a wormhole would probably be like, oh my god. So,
I mean,
does the physics of wormholes like even matter here, or
so we assume?
No, but it's just like looking into something like that.
When I watched it, I got the impression that, or once I thought about it a little bit, I got the impression he like saw Bill Cipher on the other side.
Yeah, like Bill Cipher would totally be just chilling and would like randomly appear and like touch someone and be like, haha, scary prophecy.
I mean, so if Bill Cipher is on this dimension, and the dimension is the source of weirdness. Bill Cipher is the source of weirdness. He's a representation of this other dimension. He's causing all these things. Mysteries. All the mysteries are solved to the end.
Yes.
No, I'm pretty sure that that's not what's going to happen. No. But that's like the most logical, basic connections we can draw at this point, I guess.
Well, that Bill Cipher is, like, definitely, like, involved.
I mean, I remembered not that much of the Bill Cipher mythology, honestly. Hasn't been on television in a while. But, it's like, I don't remember there being too much concrete established with him.
I mean, no, he's just, like, a creepy triangle that appears and messes things up, and then he leaves.
Right, so...
Yeah,
I think it is established that he's from a different dimension. Like, I think that's a thing.
He's, like... gets inside your head. Like, he's very manipulative. But he seems to have... I thought, because I've recently watched, like, the whole series straight through, because I had to for podcast, and because I wanted to. He seems to have, like, a purpose. Like, he has, like, a greater goal. Like, he seems manipulative, but he isn't just, like, randomly being chaotic for the sake of being chaotic. You know what I mean?
He's always, like, just like with Dipper, like, he's always trying to make a deal. Like, he wants something.
I also think that,
He kind of reminds me of a poltergeist, to be honest.
I mean, there's a chance that this portal could, like, Bill Cipher, he doesn't stick around very long, and though it seems he can move freely, there's a chance that with this portal he can fully come in to this dimension and, like, really, like, mess things up.
If he wasn't somehow fully in already, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this could open the floodgates. So I think it's not unreasonable to start making these endgame connections right now. I don't think we know for sure, but I've gotten the impression from Alex Hirsch before that this show might not go beyond 2 seasons, and if it does not, then we have 8 episodes left. So,
well, this episode really, for me, like, because I hadn't really thought about that before you mentioned it before in our preview podcast, but this episode, what is it? Mm-hmm. Something Ford said, I think, or maybe one of them said something at the end of the episode and just made me think, this is it. Like, oh, it's the end of the summer. Like, you can stay here until the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And then it's over. And for me, that was like, this is it. Like, this is the final season. We're going to the end of the summer, and that's it.
Yeah, Ford places an ultimatum on them. Yeah. I would like for them to say if it's the last, so this would be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, assuming the season is 20 episodes, which we don't know, that'd be 8 episodes less. I'd love for them to say these are the final 8 episodes, because then we could really, kick in the gear, in terms of, excitement for it. But it's also possible the season's longer than 20 episodes. It's also possible there's a season 3, but Alex Hirsch just kind of said it's not going to go beyond the summer, and it seems like he's kind of burnt out from making this. All this kind of point to an end game. This is certainly the episode that is that has had the most concrete conclusions drawn within the entire series. Like, this explains half of the mysteries, right? Just this one episode. So it's we're certainly moving towards an end game. Let's get into some more recapping of the episode then. I like how natural progression of it comes from that. So there's children down here in some sort of large... Okay, so he sees that the kids, and he calls Zeus a large hairless gopher.
I get that
I feel like I get that a lot. I feel like we've had a lot of these Zeus type descriptions like this. I don't think this
maybe
is the first
Zeus is part weird creature, because we don't know anything about his parents. We only know his grandma.
We know his grandmother, yeah. Zeus being part supernatural would be a good reveal. I would like that.
Yes.
I would love that. He just suddenly has superpowers.
Stan...
And then Zeus should be the most shocked. That'd be the best part.
Yeah, he would be the most shocked, yeah. Stan tells Ford that these are Sherry's grandkids. Have we gotten a name before on the parents?
No.
Okay.
We have not.
Or the grandparents.
Or we might have, I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
Sherry's grandkids.
I thought he said Sherma, but okay.
I think it's Sherry. Delaney, explain the familial relations here. I'm going to go to you on this.
Okay, yeah, because I brought that up whatever ago.
Yeah.
So we have Mabel and Dipper are the great niece and nephew of Stan
and Ford, yeah.
Which means that there is at least, which before this episode was there has to be a third sibling, that has to be their grandparent. Now we know it's their grandmother.
Yeah.
Which means that grandmother, they had a kid, and then Mabel and...
Yeah,
which is really cool about this is because twins are known to be this is a genetic thing, and it's cool that we have more twins. It's cool because that's a thing.
That is a thing. That is a thing.
Yeah, twins being more genetically likely from other twins. So I saw you blog a post saying we see a baby at some point in this.
Yes.
Okay, when's the
You see baby. They're arguing, and that's when Ford comes in and he's like, "You messed up my machine. You suck. I hate you." Blah blah. And then the dad comes in and says,
"They're in the living room."
They're in the living room, and then the mom comes in holding a baby.
Okay, so yeah.
And I didn't know until the second rewatch that is indeed a girl.
Yeah, so it's their, so that's Dipper and Mabel's grandmother, yeah. There you go. Okay, that's all.
Yep.
Dipper's hyperventilating, the first of the two.
Wait, I just figured something out.
Yeah.
So, grandmother, their name's Pines, so that means they had to have, they could have had a daughter who kept their name, but that means dad is the connection.
Dad is the connection. Yes.
Well,
so they have
assuming traditional norms.
Well, actually, that doesn't make much sense because the daughter, that she must have kept her name, and then there's actually no telling.
She just kept her name. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, unless there's divorce or something.
Yeah, could have.
Or she didn't get married and she just had a baby daddy.
Yeah, could have not gotten married. Could have got divorced. Went back to her name. Could have just kept her name. That's all.
It could be adopted.
All possible.
I doubt it. Well, the twin connections probably they're related, but
yeah, but not for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The entire U.S. government's there, and who wants to tell us their entire mysterious backstory?
That's such a Mabel comment.
Yeah, we can just tell from the line. So we're in 1960s something, Glass Shard Beach, New Jersey. I don't think we knew that Stan was from New Jersey before, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does.
Dad's an owner of a pawn shop, and the mom is phone psychic.
I love it.
Which also makes a lot of sense.
I love her. I love their mother being a phone psychic, just on so many levels. It just makes me so happy.
The pawn shop makes so much sense.
That also, this is very back planning parent occupations that work. They make the Stan a war and plan to sail away to find treasure and stuff,
which is adorable.
Yeah, but then they get caught in the principal's office once, and they're fawning over Ford. Beep boop science nerd robot.
So great.
That's another
good line. Yeah. There are just some quality lines in this episode.
Yeah.
Also, it's a very typical, smart twin, not so smart twin, but I do like that their relationship, except for, this one part, because they're about to be torn apart, is, not necessarily the typical, conflict, they get along, and, he has fun nicknames. He doesn't make fun of him because he has 6 fingers and all that.
Yeah, high 6. I like something that I
Sixer.
noticed.
I like that.
Yeah, 6'5". I remember one of the things I really liked was that the voice actors, when they're little, they have the same voice actor, or it sounds like they have the same voice actor for when they're children and when they grow up.
I assume they're not the same little kids, but they do sound similar. Yeah.
Yeah, they do sound very similar. You know what I mean? They sound almost as if they could be one voice.
Yeah. So kind of the crucial moment of the episode. Stan breaks Ford's science project, but it's accidental. And it's a mistake, he says. And then he gets kicked out, though.
Well, it's interesting that he never, he doesn't focus on that. He doesn't keep... it was an accident. He just, accepts his fate.
Yeah. Yeah. So the prototypical, kind of what you expect once you, this is one moment in the episode, I think, that kind of doesn't work, right before this, because you are okay, here's where the plot's going. It's not good. I'm not someone who tries to think ahead when I'm watching shows or anything. I very specifically am just in the moment, and even I here was okay, this is where the plot's going. So that's not a good thing that happens. That means you're being very tropey. But they do subvert it, and Stan doesn't purposely break it. He breaks it by accident, which makes the entire situation more tragic and keeps him a sympathetic character.
Yes, even though he is a jerk, I adore Stan. He is maybe my favorite character aside from Mabel.
Yeah, and Seuss and Wendy and Dipper and they're all great. They're all great.
It's Mabel and then Stan.
They're all
for
great,
me.
Though. Okay. What about Ford? Where's Ford gonna rank?
Ford's a jerk in this episode.
Ford is not a jerk.
We don't think he's a jerk overall, but he's kind of being a bit of a.
Yeah.
Am I the person that
No, you're not. No.
Okay.
So,
I didn't think so.
Okay, so let's talk J.K. Simmons voicing Ford. So we know we're a former Korra podcast, Legend of Korra podcast. So we're intimately familiar with J.K. Simmons' voice acting as he did Tenzin. That was not warranting of that reaction. I will say that. But as Tenzin, I was never very impressed by J.K. Simmons as Tenzin. He was always very kind of flat and unemotional, which made sense for the character, but he didn't have a lot of range in that role. He certainly didn't stand out among some incredible voice actors on that show. Here, I think in one episode he is better than every episode as Tenzin in Korra.
Not even. This is just a ploy for more power.
Yeah.
Yeah, that line was
just like,
that was not his. He did not write that line, but yeah, no, I think this role suits him better. I would say.
yes.
Yes.
It is. He was. I think he was quite good as.
Oh yeah.
As the Poindexter prodigious twin, and I think he even when he was voicing him like in high school, he would how did he did that better? He did that really well too. He just raised his voice, or maybe they enhanced it. But yeah, I think he was good, and it's exciting to see him in this role now for this last stretch maybe of episodes. We'll see. Stan's on his own. We get an incredibly funny kind of segment of this with Stan doing infomercials in different states. It's so great. It's a total sham, the sham wow type thing.
Okay, any episode's great when it makes fun of the sham wow. Like, any episode, like, quality episode.
And
Doesn't
then
matter.
the Band-Aid remover, the rip-off. I love both of these things don't solve problems. These are like not...
No, their names are the
problem
best.
taking out Band-Aids, the rip-off. Yeah.
How many like ideas? Like he went all across the country. Like I just want to know what else he invented.
Yeah.
Like
Well, there's a few pictures where it shows, like, and the names are all stellar.
The show's always been very good with, like, making fun of Stan being like a con artist, and this is maybe even the best gag. He gets the best gags out of it.
Yes.
I like how his mom supported him. Like, you mean my little free spirit, Stanley? Because it's phone.
Yes.
Although we don't see her again in the rest of it, unfortunately.
I know. It makes me very sad. Anyways, continue.
Ford goes to Gravity Falls. Stan, we cut back and forth. Stan has a list of states he's not banned from, and marks off on there. Ford investigates in Rickard's journals of anomalies. There's a section where he talks about anomalies, statistical, and probabilities. I thought that was well done. He uses another descriptor for it. We get a concrete description of what the journals are. It's his scientific research, which I'm not sure is totally logical that this brilliant scientist would record things like he does with these journals. It's not really a scientific process. It's not really technical.
I think they link it well, kind of, though. I mean, I think maybe it's a leap that I'm making, but I like how it kind of links to him having 6 fingers, and even though, like, yeah, he's into science and everything, it's also, like, just the weird and how he feels connected to this, and just, like, he's weird, and he's trying to, like, find something like him, and, like, I don't know, I think it makes, like, I think
they do a good job explaining why he's researching this.
Yeah, they're just kind of, like, I think they look more like field journals, and field journals can be, like, a mess.
Okay.
But turning, like, field journals into, like, scientific data notes is where you get, like...
It seemed like the show was presenting this as, like, the formalization of his work, which I agree doesn't really make sense, because it seems more like field journal work,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like... Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he did... I mean, he made a portal, and also, like, to me, like, the science... Yeah, we keep saying science, and, like, we all have, like, a preconceived, like, notion of what science is and what it means when we just hear science, that's just the word, but all of this, as I'm watching, is, like, this is, like, the breaking point of physics is what he's been working on. Like, even the university that he wanted to go to, like, this is, like, deep, like, far into the spectrum science. Like, is like...
Yeah, so certainly the topic is not
fringe,
the same,
it's fringe physics.
It's fringe science.
But in order to, like, use the methods he has to be rejecting the scientific method to a certain extent. You can still talk about fringe things and use the scientific method and formalize your work better than he did. It seems
There's an entire book on fringe scientists if anyone wants to read it. I don't remember who wrote it, but it's called Life on the Fringe, and it's about fringe scientists. And it is deeply fascinating, because these are some interesting people. Like, using the Stanford Pines is, like, out there, and just no one is like that in the world. There are people like that who have crazy, weird lives, but I don't think they actually build working portals. But you never know.
That is interesting. The other thing is that this is clearly presented as as formal scientific research he's doing using grant money. So all these things considered, I don't buy that this is scientific work.
I think it connects to, I mean, just the relationship with his family. Like, that makes sense. Like, of course he's going to use this money to do what he wants. And like, I think it makes sense to like the extent of like what we've been presented.
Well, I understand like that this, like, I think the show does a good job presenting why he's researching this, but the show also is saying that he's using this grant money specifically, like this is actually like he's formally requesting money to do this work on these anomalies, and so it's not like he's doing work, he's like going off the books. Like this is presented as on the books research to start, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also probably why the government knew about it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense, because when you get a grant, you have to like prove that you're doing like actual like work in order to continue to receive grants.
And they were saying we've been waiting for this. Like, I can't remember the exact wording, but they've talked the government agents were like, we, finally, and like, we've been waiting to come back to Gravity Falls, something like that. Like they talked about it in a way that like they knew this was going on. They were just waiting for the signature again.
It makes sense. So yeah, I think with this being scientific work, I think that this is maybe the only point in the episode where it breaks the trust of the flashback for me. So these flashback episodes they need to work so well with what we've presented the entire time, because we're trying to explain like hours of content that we've received previously. And you need to really gel with what you've been doing, because it's sometimes hard for the audience to believe that what we're seeing is the truth after it's not been presented for so long. And this is a great case of that. And here specifically, this is the only time where it seems to me like this is written after. This backstory was not came up with before the concept. Like, obviously the concept came first and then they came up with this backstory. But you can kind of realistically, other than maybe this and maybe there's other points, I don't know, see that they're like, oh, okay, let's write the life of these twins from start to finish, and then we'll just focus on this one point. And that, I don't buy it from this part. So, I don't know. It's not a big criticism, but maybe there's other points too. We'll get to it. Where are we? Anomalies, Dipper, and then we get the Dipper screaming about the journals, which we talked about, which is great.
So funny.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and Jason Ritter did a great job with that, voicing that. He was building a portal to the source of the weirdness, which we said, and then he calls his college buddy Fiddleford McGucket, who's a mechanic.
I liked the Apple.
Yeah, he's building computers in Palo Alto. Yeah,
so great.
And they did a good job presenting him as the same character but younger. Fiddleford accidentally goes into the portal. And they say, when gravity falls and Earth becomes sky, fear the beast with just one eye. I don't know what that first part means. Unless we've said, well,
the portal like flipped things up.
Well, yeah, unless that means the gravity anomalies from the previous
like it can happen
episode.
Again.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like more badly. Like,
so I think it's possible.
Sounds like a prophecy from Game of Thrones. I'm not
Harry Potter prophecy. Yeah,
it just sounds like very, very. It just sounds like a prophecy. Like all prophecies sound like this. They rhyme.
It seems like this could be implying that now that Stan opened the portal again, and the result of what he did was these gravity anomalies, we could be seeing. Assuming the beast with one eye is Bill Cipher, we could be seeing Bill Cipher again in bigger force, which is what we talked about before.
Also, I just finally read it.
Another beast.
Another beast. It could be a different
beast.
Beast.
Bring in a new villain, possibly.
Yeah, I don't. If it's the end of the show, no. But if it's not, if they're doing another season, they will. So it depends on that. He calls Stan up. He wants him to hide the journal, and he wants him to take the one journal and go away. So, again, I'm not sure that. I think we're rushing in this episode through this. This episode is 30 minutes, no commercials, an actual 30 minutes. Yet we do move pretty fast here. I'm not sure the episode does a good job of convincing us why he needs to call Stan and have Stan specifically take this one journal far away.
I mean, it's not a good route, but like he's obviously crazy. And we know from the journals with the Dipper that he's losing his mind.
We also showed at this point that he's really paranoid. Yeah.
So I think
is Bill Cipher making him his paranoid? Do we know if he's appeared to?
We know we heard voices. That's it.
We did no Bill Cipher in this episode, I don't think.
Yeah. Like the only the only hint of him like losing his mind, aside from him like being clearly like off his rocker, was when Fiddleford went into the portal and he heard voices. No, he talked about them in the journals, but just not in this episode.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk about journals. But he'd already seen Bill Cipher. Was Bill Cipher driving him crazy? Like,
probably. Yeah,
that's true. He wrote in the journals about Bill Cipher, and it's not like, well, Okay, so no, because
Does he have a late onset schizophrenia? Or
McGucket goes through the portal and he takes him back, and so he could have written about Cypher after talking to McGucket about the one-eyed beast in detail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
that's
but
possible.
like in the journal entry, isn't it like avoid at all costs?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that was some detailed like information about Bill Cipher, and that's how they found out to go into his mind, right? So he I think he was intimately familiar with Bill Cipher, and Bill Cipher was making him crazy. Was like in his head.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the timeline on this. Yeah, so
I mean, why wouldn't he just burn the journals then? Like,
because he wants
that
to
was
keep.
like-
I think because he wants to keep his all the result of his work. Like,
yeah,
tangible.
that would make sense.
Yeah, this is a good example of things that only make sense given that this is like the 70s and the 60s. Like, if you can't tell this story now because it makes no sense given electronics.
Yeah.
Just everything about the journals just makes no sense when you can just scan them.
Well, and then from the standpoint of like the thing I'm thinking of is like Frankenstein, but that's not what I'm. But like the idea of like you build something and you're like, this is awful, this needs to stop, but then you still can't let go of it.
Yeah.
Of course, the good idea would have been to burn the journals. That would have made sense.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense
But
that
no,
he doesn't
you're
want
still
to
kind
get
of
rid of.
attached.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get rid of his work. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. He could have even just ripped out the pages that had that on there, but no, he wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, but then they fight, and conveniently they activate the portal as they're fighting, and then Stan goes into the portal.
And the scar.
Or Ford goes into the portal, yeah. And the scar, yeah.
That was one of the things I was like, oh my god, that got explained. Because that's been bothering me, like, since I watched it. I was like, what is that from?
What episode is it from? Do we
Well,
see
no,
it?
it's in a few episodes where we see it.
I barely remember.
I tried before we started that I was looking through pictures and things trying to find it, but
Yeah.
like it's in a few, like more. It's definitely more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Though I thought it was on his chest for some weird reason. There might be another one, unless I'm just like I might have just misremembered. But I thought there was something on his chest.
I don't know. This is one of the things I've lost to the ages of the show.
It's gone.
The 3 years air period, the 3 year airing period for 30 episodes. So he goes, stands on his own. He goes to the store. We see all these old versions of the town people. Before we see the old version of Biker. I forget his name, but the get him or something like that. So he's get out, the mom to him, a young version of him. See the lazy Susan and how she gets the lazy eye. And,
That I like freaked out.
wow, such mythology building. Yeah. Old
it
version
was
of the
great,
cops and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, we didn't see the other cop.
The other
right? We
cop,
just-
I'm not sure if we did. There's a lot of
Because
people
I was like,
there.
where is his buddy? Where? I mean, they're legit married. Like, where's the other one?
Yeah, but then so then the story ends. Dipper's sorry for not trusting Stan. Although I still think it seems like he's justified still. I don't think the story absolves Stan's shadiness, really.
Well, no. I mean, Stan's just shady. Like,
Yeah.
it's...
I don't know why he couldn't tell anyone. Does this episode really try to explain why he can't tell the kids?
Well, I mean, it makes sense in the whole, like, his whole, like, wanting to protect them, and he assumed his brother's identity. That's weird.
Yeah.
He faked his own death, like, to assume his
Yeah,
brother's...
so the grifter thing is a picture of himself and faking his death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he, like, that's the big that's what I'm stuck on this episode, is he faked his own death. He lied to their parents. He lied to his parents. He lied to his sister. And,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that's
maintained-
true, yeah.
He lied to everyone, like, in his
How
family.
does he convince his sister that he's his brother?
I mean,
She may
well,
just like.
unless-
I mean, she was really little when
it's
they
probably-
were
yeah,
like
she doesn't
older,
know
so
them,
she
yeah.
might not be. She hadn't seen either of them
Yeah.
probably in like a long time. So
like,
she
maybe
may
she
just
didn't
not have
know he
known.
had 6 fingers. Or he might not have shown up to the funeral. Like, he just faked his death. It doesn't mean that anything actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, he might not have had to convince anyone, but that he just, that happened, that he had to at some point lie to, like, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, his parents. I mean, we can.
Well, then why is the sister
they're probably
sending him
not
for the
alive.
summer to? It's like someone she doesn't know. It's getting
We don't
Yeah.
know.
getting a little sketchy there, I think.
But what I meant, like,
don't
it wasn't
know.
like,
We don't know what type of.
we don't know how
I guess
close they
we-
were.
We don't know how close.
Right,
they
so I
can
guess
switch.
the point is that if they're close, then she would know. But if they're not close, then it makes sense. But then why is she sending them to?
Well, I mean, if
I
they
mean,
were...
he could have had the 6 finger surgically removed. Maybe he's like,
And-
yeah, I got that taken care of.
Or she honestly might not have known. Like, depending on how young and, like, how much... I mean, because that's another thing. He was... he was in high school when she was born.
She just meets Stan later in life, and he introduces himself as Ford.
Like,
and,
she might not have really known Ford at all, and like what.
Yeah, so
Ford
she just doesn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, like you could easily explain away the fact.
They have to have like started their relationship later in life and before.
Yeah.
So that's the only way to explain that, which I guess makes sense. Anger's memory thing. So yeah, they use the memory gun from Blind Eye, right? Society,
which played conveniently.
Even though I remember none of that episode, and they forget the government agents forget everything, and the thread tying this entire season together is resolved because the government agents go away, all with this one act. Although
I felt really bad. He had been practicing excited noises to make, and he forgot them. I'm so sad.
Ron Swanson agent, like so sad, yeah. But it's.
I think he might be my favorite person ever.
The agent.
Yes, I just enjoy listening to him talk.
I mean, yes.
I feel that.
You feel me? Good.
But then Ford presents this very real report, drawings by Mabel, which was great.
Oh my god.
Yeah. J.K. Simmons gives a convincing performance as a fake performance, I think. Dipper has to ask a couple billion questions.
The way he clicks his pin is so adorable to me. Like, it's so great.
Mabel's listening to them talk, and she thinks Ford was going to promise them puppies made out of ice cream, but that might just be wishful thinking.
Mabel was just so unbelievably Mabel this episode.
That was the best line ever. Mabel's like, I like how Kristen Shaw read
She's
that
the
line.
only one not freaking out. She's just like, there's a portal. Okay.
Why does Dipper let her why does Dipper rely on her information?
Well, Dipper's like in a worse state right now because he's all like weirded out by everything and too much going on. Mabel's like a parody of herself at this point, and she knows it. So like she wasn't actually excited when she heard that. She just said it flat. I think that was a great line read by Kristen Shaw.
Even Mabel is done with herself. She's just like, whatever.
This is a good description of puberty.
Mabel could like walk into Mordor and just not be faced by anything. Like the sky could actually fall, and she'd be like, "All right, guys, I got this." She's gonna grow up to like work for the CIA, and that just the most nothing could make her freak out except for a few boys, but that's okay. I feel her. Anyways, continue.
Puppies made of ice cream, but that might just be wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking. I love that so much.
Then they have
their puppy made of ice cream.
But if it's made of ice cream and you eat it, then it's not a puppy anymore. That's the thing.
But is it like a puppy that's just like made out of ice cream?
Oh, so she doesn't have to eat it. It's just...
No, like it could be like an actual puppy. It just happens to be made out of ice cream.
So would it be like an actual puppy? Like, could I take?
So she wants to keep it as a pet.
Dog, but like ice
cream. Would I have to be careful with it? Like, if it went outside, would it melt and then my puppy melted, or would it be like Olaf and he just like stays?
This is the most important discussion.
So I feel like the enjoyment you get from a puppy and the enjoyment you get from ice cream contradict each other if combined.
I mean, I guess cuddling with it would be kind of. But like,
well, yeah,
I could move to like the North Pole and take my puppy with me, and my puppy could sleep outside. Well, my puppy grew up to be a dog, and then like keep watch of my house. Or like
ice cream, I
don't think ice cream's
like it would just be like a small puppy forever.
I feel like that's the least of the questions. That's like that's the worst question to ask about this. Does the puppy grow up is not really relevant, right?
I mean, it's relevant in two ways. Like, does it actually grow up, or is it going to grow up, or am I going to eat it?
Are you asking, does it grow up in terms of how it, like, grows muscle mass and stuff?
What would Mabel do with the puppy? Would she, like, make her life... Where was Waddles this episode?
Yeah, I was about to say, where's Waddles? Where is Waddles? Why are you
daydreaming about puppy get
ice cream of Waddles?
Waddles and puppy ice cream. Waddles would eat the puppy made of ice cream.
No, really, no. Where was Waddles?
I know, we need more Waddles. Waddles should have been involved in this.
Like, I'm distraught. What happened to Waddles?
Waddles is the best character on the show. But then Dipper and Mabel have their sibling moment. They're contractually obligated to have a sibling moment every episode. Don't think we'll turn out like Stan and Ford, will you? And then no, stupid, no. And but then Mabel's worried.
Like, can we not end the episode on a sad note? Like, can we not do that, please?
To me, I don't know what this means, right? Because I know everything's about Dipper and Mabel's relationship and stuff like that, but like, this didn't really connect to anything else for me, and I don't know if this meant anything. It's not really going to come into play later, so this was just like the ending on a sentimental note. It works if you're watching it for the first time, but then the second time I'm like, what does this really do?
Well, for me, I was like, I've been wondering this while I've been watching the entire show, is that, like, Mabel and Dipper are so different, and yet they work, and I don't know how, and I'm wondering if we're gonna, like, we kind of got to it, like, earlier in the season, like, when they had, like, their fight, and it was kind of like, Mabel, you, like, don't do anything, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just, like, wondering, like, are we gonna have an episode like that, or are we kind of...
Okay, yeah, so I think they could be using this as part of, like, a season-long arc in terms of, them, like, separating at the end of the summer, right? Not as close anymore. And I think
like growing up. I mean,
they're growing up and growing apart. So I think it could work with that arc, but I still don't think it works episode specific. Is what my comment would be. But I
do agree with that because like it's not like, I mean, kind of Stan and Ford's relationship is kind of a parallel, but only because Dipper and Mabel have the whole like science twin, different twin, that kind of thing. You could argue science twin, free spirit twin, but that's like the only parallel.
I mean, they're
so
also
like I could
twins,
stack.
But,
yeah, well, obviously.
Did you know that they're twins? They're both twins.
No, I had
two sets
no
of
idea.
twins.
Like, what? They're twins? Shocker.
Hashtag analysis.
Shut up. But you know, I mean, that's
Harry
like
Potter is a wizard, and Jesus dies at the end of the book. Sorry, guys.
How dare you? I actually had a point to make.
No, now you forgot. So let's talk about the stinger at the end with Seuss calling Wendy. It's great.
A+.
Him explaining everything, and then
also it's great because you literally can't explain this episode to someone.
Yeah,
no,
he literally did that. It's so great.
It's pretty wonderful. And you just love the idea that Seuss calls Wendy.
It's like trying to explain the Minions movie.
Yeah, well, that's even less sensical. So
exactly, and like I love that this happened. That like Seuss, like yes, this is you can't explain this episode. And Wendy is so done.
It was beautiful. I'm so glad that was just like, I gotta call Wendy.
So great.
Yeah. Maybe
the fact that Wendy actually picked up.
One of the best stingers, maybe.
And listened. She listened for 14 hours. After like 4, I'd be like, okay, I'm done. And I'm pretty patient.
It's true.
After 4, you'd make it 4 hours of Seuss saying the one twin, the other twin with both of their names and stuff.
Also, can we talk about we got to 3 a.m. and they were only at that part?
Okay, what did we miss in terms of specifics? Any lines, anything you really need to bring up?
Oh, I saw something on Tumblr, and apparently Blendon was at
Blendon was at the name thing in the beginning where they're going to sign their names. Yeah, Blendon was here. Yeah. That's my favorite episode, the first Blendon episode, so I'm all in favor of more Blendon.
I'm like, time travel, yes please.
Anything else? Okay.
I really hope we get like another episode that's like also explains things.
Next episode is Dungeons, and More Dungeons, airing August 3rd.
Yes.
I don't know what that means. But
I want their grandmother to like show up and like beat the crap out of like her brothers, and then be like, "Can y'all please get your stuff together, please?"
Yeah, we
like,
don't know. We don't know what's. We don't know what's. I forgot her name already, but.
I thought
Are we ever going to see their parents?
No.
Yeah, that's not.
No.
I mean,
maybe in the last episode, but that's it.
What is
she
she
like
up
in
to?
Ruby, where they're just like blacked out.
No. Rejected.
Okay. Rejected. All right.
No, I have it on the outline, but yeah, anyway, we could, is she alive? We don't know that or anything, right? Yeah, so, the grandmother. Yeah. We have Dungeons, and More Dungeons, August 3rd, and the Stanchurian candidate, August 24th.
They're really loving these puns, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with that.
Like,
I would like to know if we're in the home. I would like to know if we're in the home stretch, because if we are, then they've written the finale. So
I mean, if we have so many episodes with Stan in it, I feel like it's like that is an indicator of
Stan's like not. Well, now that we know everything about Stan, like this episode completely solves Stan. So I don't think Stan episodes necessarily are going to be important anymore.
No.
Well, I just meant like the fact that his name is in like all of the episodes.
Yeah, Stan is also just like Stan's like irrelevant now.
Don't say that.
He did everything.
I love Stan.
We've done everything. Like now that his brother's back, he's the only one that knows anything. Stan, we know everything Stan knows, and we know all the mysteries about Stan now.
How did he get the portal to work again?
He followed the directions in the books.
What did the directions in the book say?
Do something about nuclear waste. Yeah.
Dylan's not wrong.
I don't think the show is going to explain that. I think like that's.
I don't think they are either.
We're not.
But I just want Stan to be important.
Yeah.
He's not important.
I mean, it's going to come down to Stan being like trying to protect the kids, and that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah, that's probably his role now, stuff like that. Because that's what he assumed at the end of the episode. Not assumed. Yeah. That's what the role he assumed. Different usage of that word. Okay.
And that's what he assumed when he finally revealed that he knew about the journals. This is Stan. This is who he is.
Yeah. Okay. I want you to tell me overall, this how you think of this episode in context of other Gravity Falls episode. You can grade it out of 10 if you want, but you don't have to. And so, is this the best Gravity Falls episode? Is this top 5? What do you think, Delaney?
I don't think it's the best episode. I really enjoyed it. Because, like you said, kind of tropes, and, I mean, it was great for a flashback episode. Awesome, great job. Top-tier flashback episode. I really enjoyed it. It's probably in my top 5. It's something I keep forgetting to do is do a rankings. It's definitely not my favorite episode. Overall, just good episode. I enjoyed the narrative. I mean, it's great, all the mysteries that were solved. And I'm always a sucker for little things in episodes, and this episode had a lot of it. And the humor was great. Out of 10, I would give it a 9, which theoretically is it's not low, but not necessarily the highest for a Gravity Falls episode, because like you said, Gravity Falls episodes aren't really average anymore, and this isn't best, but probably top 5. Not my favorite, but awesome.
Britt, what do you think?
I want to say this is my favorite episode. I really like flashback episodes. I may be in the low point of that, of people, or the minority of people who really enjoy flashback episodes, but every time we get one of these show up, I'm like, yes, flashback. I am just a sucker for backstory. I would watch 10 episodes of just backstory from the show, just filled with meta that I could dissect, because that's what I like. And it was very plot heavy. We learned a lot about Stan. There was a lot of interesting stuff. I like tropey things when they're done well, like this. I like seeing certain elements of fiction that are repetitive. I enjoy those types of things, and I like that we learned a lot and it was very mysterious, but we still got a cornerstone episode. I just like episodes with a lot of plot, and there was a lot of plot in this episode. So I think this might be behind the music festival episode. But it's definitely either the first or second.
Cool. Yeah, I wonder if this is going to be considered a classic and one of the best episodes of television of the year, and we're going to hear all about it and stuff. I think it might. I don't know. We have to ask me again, after I haven't podcasted all day, and I'm very tired right now what I thought of it, but initially I was really liking it, and I still like it afterwards, on second rewatch, but it was probably not in my top 5, maybe my top 10. I mean, outside of my top 10, you're like, oh, there's only 30 episodes of the show. That means you didn't like it. No, I think there's a solid 20 episodes of the show that are excellent, that are very good to excellent. So it can be outside of the top 10 and still be great. But that's probably where I'm leaning right now, around 10, number 10, or outside the top 10. I also generally love flashback episodes, so I think I'd be biased towards this rather than biased against it. Some of the Zuko alone, Korra alone, flashback episodes, and Korra, yeah, those are the best, some of the best. Yeah, so I think that about does it. We'll be back on August 3rd for the next episode. We could do a preview one for it, but that's not too far away, August 3rd. Mm-hmm. Anything last thoughts on Tale of Two Stands?
Great episode, worth the hype, I think.
I think it was worth the hype too, yeah. I mean, there's also a 4 or 5 month wait for it, but
it's true.
What can you do?
I mean, I do think it would have been better if Disney hadn't spoiled some of what would have been cool, oh my god moments.
Yeah. Yeah, the Stanley Stanford thing had no impact in the beginning.
No.
And
also, what a tip. It's a typical but not typical thing for twins. I don't know, I liked it, kind of.
Yeah.
Names thing, also really confusing. Why would you do that to your children?
The cipher reveal at
People
the end.
People are terrible.
The cipher reveal at the end is apparently his dad was lazy and named both his didn't know what to do with his sons, named both his sons Stan or something like that. So that's the cipher code at the end of it.
That's great.
Thanks to CO for already cracking that. There you go.
Nice.
I don't know. I think that about does it. You can find, I've been Dylan Hysen, that's Delaney, Stovall, and Britney. Falcon, you can find our social media accounts, too tired to go over them, at overlyanimated.com. You can find all the information about the podcast, overlyanimated.com. You can become a patron at patreon.com/overlyanimated. We need your support to keep going. And thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, aka Hey Ya, Mitch, aka the Fever Mitch, Beatriz, aka Beatrix Lestrange, and Cordell, aka Cordell University. And you can get a cool nickname and stuff like that. Check out all the other rewards, patreon.com/overlyanimated. And I think that about does it. The rest of this week we'll be talking about Steven Universe every day, because that show airs regularly, unlike this show. Ouch. I don't know. I mean, it's not all Disney's fault. The show just has an incredibly slow production schedule. I don't know why. But I mean,
it's high quality.
It's incredibly high quality, sure. But also, Korra was even more so, and at some point that aired regularly. At some point. That was also even worse scheduling stuff with Nick. But yeah, I don't know. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.